Please be seated. And as I ask you to do that, let me also ask you to be sure that your cell phones are silenced. Faculty and staff, trustees, honored guests, family and friends, fellow students, and most especially the graduating seniors of the Monmouth College class of 2019, Lobie and I are honored to welcome you to the Baccalaureate service for 2019. Today's Baccalaureate service is the beginning of our commencement weekend, marked by traditions and rituals, many that Monmouth College has observed since its founding in 1853, and others that have developed over the years. In gratitude to our founders, and in recognition of our ongoing affiliation with the Presbyterian Church USA, our Baccalaureate service is a Presbyterian service, during which we give thanks to God for our seniors and celebrate all that they have accomplished. This is also a service of Godspeed, as we send our graduates into their future with God's blessing. As is our Presbyterian custom, this service is ecumenical, inclusive, and welcoming. Our Monmouth College community is a beautifully diverse community. Therefore, we are grateful for your presence today, no matter your religious affiliation or commitments. And we invite you to join in this time of fellowship, contemplation, and most especially joy. Highlights of this year's Baccalaureate service include the sermon that will be delivered by the Reverend Dr. J. Herbert Nelson, Stated Clerk of the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church USA. He has been with us before on this stage, and we are pleased to welcome him back again. Special performances by Monmouth College's new percussion ensemble, our a cappella group, the Highland Harmonizers, and the Monmouth College Chorale. Art on your programs by Nia Robertson and Emily Shaw are featured on the back. Before I proceed further, let me also thank the Reverend Dr. Terry Ott and the Reverend Jessica Hawkinson for their devotion to our students, faculty, staff, community throughout the year, but most especially for their leadership in putting this service together. Again, welcome and congratulations to the class of 2019.
to worship. For the joy of this day, which is the fruit of labor, sacrifice, and love, we give you thanks, O God, for what we have learned and the ways in which we have grown. We give you thanks, O God, for the diverse roads and challenges open to us as we face the future. We give you thanks, O God, for everyone who has encouraged us and stood by us. We give you thanks, O God, for the knowledge that you love us and that you are always present for us. We give you thanks, O God. Now please join us in our opening hymn, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee.
I invite you now to join me in the prayer of confession printed in bold in your bulletin. Almighty and merciful God, you made us to be like you in knowledge, righteousness, and holiness. Yet we are distracted by worldly gods and wrongdoing, easily seduced by power, prestige, pleasure, or possessions. Forgive our half-hearted devotion and our dull-minded spirit. Teach us the wisdom of the divine love that bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Raise us up to a greater hope and truth. God is our peace. In God, those who are divided are made one. God, the Creator, who brings new life and love, forgives and redeems you. Take hold of this forgiveness. Be shaped by the greatest of loves, and be assured that you are made for God's good purposes. Amen. You may be seated.
God, source of all light, by your word you give light to the soul. Pour out upon us the spirit of wisdom and understanding, that, being taught by you in Holy Scripture, our hearts and minds may be opened to know the things that pertain to life and faithfulness. Amen. Our first scripture reading is Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 9. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, My servant Moses is dead. Now proceed to cross the Jordan, you and all his people, into the land that I am giving to them, to the Israelites. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, as I promised to Moses. From the wilderness and the Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, to the great sea and the west, shall be your territory. No one shall be able to stand against you in all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall put this people in possession of the land that I swore to their ancestors to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, being careful to act in accordance with all the law that my servant Moses commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, so that you may be successful wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth. You shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to act in accordance with all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall be successful. I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 1 through 13. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanky cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understanding all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith, so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful, or arrogant or rude. It does not insist in its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoings, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, as we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child, and I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, and the greatest of these is love.
Many of us here at Monmouth College remember the Reverend Dr. J. Herbert Nelson well as our 2016 Martin Luther King Jr. Convocation speaker. He left a lasting impression on us then with his inspiring and prophetic words. We were thrilled to host Dr. Nelson in 2016 because he was already a sought-after speaker and preacher nationally, as he served as the director then of our Presbyterian Church USA's Office of Public Witness in Washington, D.C. I actually took a group of students to visit our Office of Public Witness over spring break a few years ago, and after meeting with J. Herbert, well, they pretty much all decided to be Presbyterian. He's that good, folks. Since his visit to Monmouth College in January of 2016, Dr. Nelson has gotten a bit busier. In June of 2016, he was elected to the highest office in our denomination, serving now as our stated clerk of the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church USA. Many Presbyterians, like myself and my husband Dan, watched this national church election unfold at home via social media, hoping and praying that J. Herbert would be elected. And well, friends, it wasn't even close. Our church resoundingly elected Dr. Nelson, knowing full well that he was the much-needed prophetic leader for our time. Even though Dr. Nelson now resides in Louisville, Kentucky, where our denomination's national office is located, I don't think he's home much. He travels nationally and internationally, speaking on behalf of the PCUSA denomination regarding ecclesial, judicial, ecumenical, interfaith, and spiritual matters. In fact, when he leaves Monmouth tomorrow, he's headed to Geneva, Switzerland, to the meeting of the World Alliances of Reformed Churches. He also has set a new tone for the direction of our denomination, calling us to explore deeper spiritual and communal relationships while engaging a world that is rapidly changing. Dr. Nelson is perhaps best known, though, as a passionate pursuer of justice for all God's people. At the 2018 biennial meeting of our denomination's General Assembly, Dr. Nelson notably led about 1,000 Presbyterians into the streets of St. Louis to protest the exploitative cash bail system that preys upon the poor while criminalizing persons for misdemeanor crimes. An offering of $65,000 was also presented to nonprofit faith-based groups that bail low-level offenders out of jail. So I could just go on and on in this intro. I mean, I am just so thrilled to have Dr. Nelson here. So honored that he agreed to stop by Monmouth, Illinois on his way to Geneva, Switzerland to preach today. I personally am so inspired by this man, and I know you will be too. So please join me in welcoming the Reverend Dr. J. Herbert Nelson as our baccalaureate preacher for the class of 2019.
Folks at the Presbyterian Center can hear that introduction. It is indeed a pleasure and certainly a joy to come back and to be here at Monmouth College. Spend time once again in this chapel and to have an opportunity to see some who I saw on the first visit, now in cap and gowns, getting ready to leave this place and go out into the world and to make a difference. It is also a good time to run into a president who has some roots in Kentucky. Somebody ought to say amen to that. And I want to thank you for this opportunity for both Jessica Hankinson and Terry out to have given me this opportunity to come back and to be a part of this special occasion. This is a high time in the Lord. It is a new beginning and a new opportunity. And I want to say to all of those who are graduating this particular weekend that you have an opportunity to go in and reshape and change a world. And I will talk a little bit about that more. But don't ever, ever sell yourself short and what God has in store for you. And for those who have prepared the way, your instructors and your faculty members who have taken time to teach, to grow, this for them is graduation. Because they send another class out into the world, and they will be watching your progress. They will be listening to your voices, because it is really what you bring, your hope, that will allow them to be able to rejoice even more, to give a sense that their meaningful work is truly worthwhile. Don't blow it. Don't let us down. It is in you to do great things. Let us bow heads in prayer. Eternal God, our dwelling place in all generations, give us your word. Strengthen us by your light. And walk with us in faith. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Moses is dead. Moses is dead. He has led a group of people out of bondage for 40 years. He has given individuals a hope and a possibility for a new life. Moses' record is etched in stone. He has pressed against the Pharaoh's power. He sought to enslave those who were in Egypt, who gained power and interest, and more importantly, gained notoriety for his punishing tactics against those who did not serve him. A whole people were captive to the Pharaoh and what Pharaoh had done in their lives. And yet with no great outcome, they continued to try and push the edge of the pole. Moses was a part of a miracle story. He was born, quite frankly, to a slave mother. And if that was not enough, God's activity in the midst of it all directed his mother to put him in a basket and float him downstream in hopes that he would probably find a better life than he could find for himself while simply being a slave in Egypt. This baby was found, ironically, by the daughter of Pharaoh, who brought him into Pharaoh's palace and decided to keep him there as her own. Pharaoh did not know it, but he was now the grandfather, in a sense, of a slave, and one whose mother eventually was called to come to the palace to take care of her own baby, not knowing that it was her baby. The internal conversations among those who were enslaved shared the good news. The baby is in the palace. Go get the mother. Bring her here. Put her in a position where she can take care of her own child. And unbeknownst to the most powerful man of that region, this mother was with her child, raising her in the opulence of the palace. What a direction from God. What a thing that only God could do. What a way by which God's miraculous and majestic ways of training and teaching and building and giving hope and possibility. Oh, there is an awesome God who is doing great things. And there you are, those of you today who are here today sitting on this stage. Your way was not easy. Your way was not carved in stone. You are graduating today and you are the pride of your family. You are graduating today and people are hoping and looking for great things out of you in your church houses. There are individuals in the community who grew up with you, many of whom did not make it, but yet you did. You in this moment are celebrating a value and a possibility that many of them only dreamed of, but somehow God delivered you in this moment. Some of you today are going, or tomorrow will graduate cum laude, others will graduate, thank you, Lord, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Some of you have struggled through this experience. You stopped and you started again. Some of you have held on tightly, wondering when will it end, wondering even up until this past week whether you would be sitting here. But God made a way somehow. And I want to contend that for all of God's children who seek to be faithful and who seek to stand in the places of the most potential and the greatest possibilities, the Lord God is at work in your life and will never really let you down. Now let me be clear, there will be moments, in fact, there will be moments of strife and struggle in your life. There will be trials and tribulation. There will be moments when you won't even think you'll make it. There are going to be hardships even when you think you see daybreak. Sometimes the journey is going to get rough with things you never expected, sidetracked. But I am convinced that it is on this journey, not the short snippet of a run that we are given to get from one space to another, that makes the difference. It is being willing to run the race with courage and faith, never giving up, and always believing that God will make a way somehow. And this is really the story of all of those who are captive in the biblical scriptures, and why I get caught up in reading it, because I know what it means to look back over life. And many of those who are sitting here today with gray hair or no hair, just like mine, they know what it means to hold out till the morning comes. And that life is not easy, but that there is an unseen presence that can get us from one place to another if we learn to trust and obey. As we used to say, trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. The journey we're on, the spiritual journey, is filled with swift transitions. The journey you will be on in the days ahead are much like those of getting to this moment. It hasn't been a straight line. No, it's been a crooked stick trying to make a straight leg. That's really what this journey is about. And yet this milestone that you are accomplishing in this moment, at this time, is one along the way that will help you to move through the burning desires to become relevant in the 21st century. You see, faith had to be at the center of their journey. Moses passed this on to a young man named Joshua. Inexperienced and understudy of Moses, struggling with what it really means to lead, never having had the full mantle of responsibility. Moses is taken to a high mountain, and he is taken there by God. God shows him everything that he will inherit, but he says to Moses, Moses, you won't get to see it. Moses had come to that period in his life where the Lord was calling him home, but left behind with this young sojourner with no experience, with really no sense of what to do or where to take God's people. One who had stood back and seen all that Moses had been through. And I can imagine, just like I did when I became state clerk, I looked back at all of the other state clerks before me and said, do I really want to take this job? The long hours, the struggles with God's people, the ongoing journey that seems to never end, the work that seems to never really stop anywhere. It just keeps going, keeps going. Much like many of your instructors will face. They will graduate you today, but they will be doing something this summer to get ready to get the next class in the fall class that comes in. Just like many and much of the work that we do, which never really comes to full fruition. Just like many of the praises we receive about what we do, and that is we work hard until the sun goes down and get back up early in the morning, but at the end of the journey, the reality is that when we have closed eyes, people begin to talk about the good things that we've done. Sometimes the accolades are not found on this side of the journey. Joshua steps in, having seen what Moses has gone through, adjusting to freedom and responsibilities of his day, struggling against the Pharaoh who raised him in the palace, struggling against the army, many of whom I'm convinced he had run into from time to time and seen them come, even some who probably had grown up with him. He now has to challenge them, let my people go. Let them go. Free them. Treat them as God's people. And yet, this guy, Moses, passes away. And in the midst of it all, Joshua takes over a job he really doesn't know what to do, how to do it, not really what's going to come to him. Freedom has come to a people, but now the challenge is to learn how to live a life while you're free. They know bondage, but they don't know freedom. They know being stuck, but they don't know how to loose themselves, to do what God really wants them to do, and to be what God really wants them to become. Here is Joshua not knowing either. That's really what life is. It's a mystery. We live into it day by day. We don't control it. We are not fully aware of what might happen. Good or bad, we must be prepared in our own lives to engage whatever comes. That's the life that we all live on this side of heaven. I remember graduating from college. I graduated from college in May. I halfway heard what the commencement speaker was saying. I prayed that morning and our chapel service, came to graduation that afternoon, tired, weary, worn. If I'm honest with you, I'd been out too late the night before. My mom and daddy came ready and proud. I was graduating from the same institution as my father did. He came to the chapel service that morning, heard me pray. Church was over. Tears came down his eyes. In the midst of it all, he hugged me. We took pictures. My mom took pictures. Everybody who had come to visit, some from the church stood around. It was a glorious day. I had a job 3 months before I ended college life, and so I was staying in Charlotte to go on my job. And during that period of time, there was something about a call to ministry that came over my life. I think I want to go into ministry. I wasn't sure, but I felt like it. It was a family business in a sense. My father, 4 uncles, my grandfather were all Presbyterian pastors, and that's all I knew growing up. I'd been in church most of my life, somewhere in church. And I said, maybe, just maybe, this is where the Lord is calling me to go. I knew I had some things to straighten out in my life. I knew I had some things I had to purge in my life in order to do this thing called ministry, to be the person I ought to be. And so in that, I went about the business of having conversations with my dad. 6 months after graduation, right before Thanksgiving, my father died of a heart attack. I was at a party. My first homecoming back after graduating. I was a big man on campus then. Walking around homecoming. I'm a graduate of the institution. Had all of my paraphernalia on, and I will never forget being at a party late that night. I said, I'm going to get on the road and drive the 2.5, 3 hours back to South Carolina in order to go to church with my dad in the morning. And I remember turning down Ashland Drive where we lived in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and it was there that I saw the line of cars along the street. I'd seen this before as a child. I'd seen this growing up on many occasions. And I knew at that moment as I drove up near the drive where I couldn't get in, I parked the car on the street, and I knew then that it was either my mother or my father who died. And I went into the house, and Uncle TJ, uncle not by kinship, but by friendship, came to the door. And he called my mother. And when he called her name, I knew that it was my dad that had died. We had talked right before I went down to homecoming about coming back and my being able to spend some time with him. The next summer, after coming from seminary, and I would come back and spend the summer learning from him. And I never made that point, never made that opportunity. In fact, I had not even entered seminary when he died. You see, I want you to know that the world that you go into is filled with swift transitions. Naught on earth unmoved can stand. Build your hopes on things eternal. Hold to God unchanging hand. Following Moses, this was what Joshua had to learn. There are moments that only God can get you through. There are moments that only your faith will allow you to see clearly enough to engage. There are moments when life will take you places that are hardships and burdens that will derail your plans. There are times when you will go through life and you will be on the right track, but somehow life will eclipse it and bring you to another space. Young people, it's only the faith in God that can get you through this life. It's only a faith in a divine being bigger than yourself Yes, struggles will come. Times will be hard. Broken spaces will capture sometimes the essence of your mind and your spirit. But don't let it defeat you. Don't let it defeat you. Learn from the past experiences that you have. Chop them up, write them down, keep a journal, do something to be reminded of how you got through the last experience. That's how you get through the next one. And usually it will be a faith that only you can dig up from the inside of your spirit. A hope that is unseen by others, but you know it's there. And when you start building up these mountains of stories about how you made it over, when you get to be a little bit older, you don't have all of the answers, but you know that if you made it before, you can make it again. Let that start right now. Right now. I don't know what you may have been through going through college. I don't know what experiences you may have had, but let it start right now. How did you get through? Where were the places that were hard? Where were the things you had to encounter? And how did you get beyond it? And what did it take? Build a library of those expressions. Build a library. Because struggles are always right around the corner. I love all this talk about me being the lead ecclesial officer of the Presbyterian Church USA. Makes me feel good. From Orangeburg, South Carolina. But I also want you to know that where much is given, much is also required. Much is also required. The more we are elevated in life, the more we're given opportunity in life, the more responsibility we have, the more expectations, the harder the sacrifice, the greater the work. You see, success is strange. We become successful and we think because of that it's easy street. The tension of holding that success together is sometimes more difficult than not having it at all. I've had more sleepless nights in the last 4 years than I have in my entire lifetime. And not because of nervousness or fear, but because to whom much is given, our Bible reminds. Much is required. The airplane that I used to love to ride on and fly on felt good going to the airport, bag in hand, rolling my bag, just kind of going down and getting on. Oh, it felt good. It doesn't feel good anymore. Having to get compression socks and all of these kinds of things. Get on the plane. Having to pack a bag now. I hate packing now. It is unbelievable. I don't even anticipate the joy of what is going to go on until I hit the ground and get there and engage the people, and then I got to get on another plane in order to get back home. Times away from the house. The struggles of what it means sometimes to learn how to fly the plane that you're in. That is the next speech. That is the next meeting. That is the briefing. That are all of the things that go along with it. Sometimes it is like learning how to fly a plane while you're there. And it gets weary. And yes, the moments when you disagree with people, and they disagree with you, and we have to work through those calamities and those pitfalls and those struggles of life. Understand the higher you're elevated in life, the more responsibility, the more expectations, the more struggle. Life is not a straight line. It's a crooked stick trying to make a straight lick. That was Moses' staff. Trying to take that staff and help people see a better way. And a source and power from God. In the midst of what was a tremendous responsibility to hold on to a faith that people you lead and even people in the ranks But if that is not enough, much of that is drawn upon how we learn from the past. Every broken place, every hardship, every trial, every struggle will lead to an opportunity for you to grow. What did you learn from it? How did you get through it? What do you do in the next one? What can you use as you move along to tell the story? Your own story. To your own self sometimes. About how you were guided again through something that you can't sometimes explain. You see, that was Moses' story, but it was also Joshua's story. This young leader, Joshua, coming, trying to lead some folks, many of whom I have convinced were older than he was, and who knew the journey a little bit better, who saw him being taught and coached by Moses, and who said in some instances, no, he doesn't know what he's doing. But his faithfulness, his commitment, his connection, his drawing upon the experiences that God had already given him, allowed him to become the person he needed to be. I did a foolish thing one time. I went to a place called Memphis, Tennessee, to pastor a new church development. I was the fourth organizing pastor in 4 years. That church had 3 failures when I came as pastor. I did not know, unbeknownst to me, that they had already decided to close the church, but they called me, expecting me to fail. And then they would not be blamed. Are you with me? Yeah. And so in the midst of it, I found myself a year later with the salary seriously reduced, with a major struggle with regards to those who called me there. And I had to make a choice every day whether to go fishing or to cut bait. There were times when I asked my wife, baby, is it time for us to leave? And I was hoping she'd say no. No, I'm sorry. I was hoping she'd say yes. And she would put it back on me. Do you still feel called? Do you still feel committed? Is this really what you think you are expected to do at this time in your life? And the answer to every one of those things is yes. I learned in that experience after 14 years of pastoring that church, organizers, to serve the poor, to evangelize the poor to the Presbyterian Church USA. I learned that sometimes God has to place you in a humble position so you'll really listen. And you'll hear what God is trying to tell you. You see, every pitfall and every pain is not the end. If I had not stopped by a place called Memphis, the introduction you heard today would not have been read. I may not have been standing on this stage today in order to give you a message or something looking back over the life I've had an opportunity to live. Life is hard sometimes. It's rough sometimes. And yes, like Joshua, like Moses, you can cut bait or you can fish. You can stand through it and walk through it and yes, go through the struggles and see what the end might be. You can make adjustments along the way. Or you can just bow out altogether. But I want to say to each and every one of you, before you make whatever decision it is, consult with the one who sent you there. Be clear on why you're making the decision. And weigh both the pros and the cons. I am here to tell you today I learned more in Memphis, Tennessee, in my hardship than I have ever learned in any one experience in my life since leaving the parents that raised me. We learn from our struggles, we learn from our strife, we learn from our brokenness and our pain, we learn from our successes, we learn from our graduations, we learn from our family stories, we learn from all of the experiences no matter what you go through, there is an unseen presence who holds your hand and promises never, ever to leave you alone. And there's some gray hairs out here today that can tell you that, and there's some bald heads out here that can tell you that too. It's like taking a crooked stick and trying to make a straight lick, but never forget that God can do all things but fail. And if we are honest with us here today, if we who are older are honestly telling you what is true, every one of us in here has been through a dark day of destiny, struggling to figure out the road that is ahead. But the reason many wear these caps and gowns on today with bars and stripes, and many are able to teach in these places of education across the country and celebrating graduation, not because they live perfect lives, and it's not because God, in the midst of it all, has given them a perfect life to live. But it's because they knew how to endure until the end, to press on. And even now, through their hardships and their pains, they come to class and they teach. They come to class and they teach. They come to work as administrators. They come as chaplains to be in the midst of you because they know they have a story. And they know they have a purpose. So I take my seat now saying to you, don't forget your story. That God gives you good, bad, and difference. Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Because that story of looking back from whence you come and the roadblocks in the way will be the story that lets you know you can look forward and get over the roadblocks that are waiting for you. But that's not enough. That is not enough. It is an awesome reminder of where the Lord is bringing you from. Bringing you from. You see, these are the lessons I'm sharing with you now. But let me tell you, from my own experience, you really won't understand it until you get to look back over them in your life. And then you know. That's why the songwriter says, through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. Looking back, in order to look forward at the walk that we have when we face our challenges and our difficulties with courage, sealed in love. In love. In love. Because love wins. And courage does not win. And the power of God prevails. Do me a favor. When you get ready, remember me.
join me in the senior prayer. Eternal God, grant us wings to soar, lift us to new heights, and give us the strength to rise when we feel too vulnerable to thrive. In this graduation moment, we, the class of 2019, rise in joy, ready to celebrate how far we have come and how far we hope to go. Oh God, give us faith when the roads are not smooth. Give us perseverance when we fail and fall. Help us to rise up, determined, ready to work for good in the face of our world's pain. In this world where the wise differ and the good disagree, and saints divide over what is best, grant us the wisdom to choose what is best, O God. In this world where cowards flee when they should stand, grant us the courage to follow the best we know, O God. In this world where there is public cynicism and private despair, grant us the hope of knowing the world is in your hands, O God. Finally, summon us to courage, great God, as we leave this college we call home, grateful for all that we have learned and received and heard among the flames of white and crimson. Amen.
The world has given you graduates an opportunity. And life is offering you an opportunity to rise. I want you to remember this if nothing else. Don't fax. Don't tweet. Don't text. Go out and shake up the world. That others may fax and tweet and text.